everyone. Whew. Who have we got in the chat tonight? We've got Roderick Smith, we've got Albert, we've got Stephen. G'day everyone. And Albert has given everyone a trivia quiz, which is what station was on the title slide, and as Stephen correctly answered, Mount Victoria. Stephen says, cheers was, to Albert saying Stephen's the winner, cheers was easy for me, yet I am a Victorian, plus the old Target railway station sign gives it away a bit. Yes. And g'day Matt, K183. All right, let's get Lightroom started up. While I do that, I will explain that yes, the room is still very bare. The walls have been painted white, as well as the skirting boards. It looks good actually. There was questions whether we were going to put wallpaper back up, because there's some old crappy wallpaper. But I don't think that's happening anymore. And I think I was told that I will be able to move back into here, this room, in not too long. Can someone remind me, where did we end off the last live stream? Like photo-wise, I mean. I'm trying to remember where I broke it at. Have you seen Mount Victoria? All the photos? I think you had, but oh yeah, you definitely had, because that's before the Cockatoo Run, and we did the Cockatoo Run. I'm just looking. Did I show you Kiama? Back at Central after the Cockatoo Run, that was where I ended the first one, but where did I end the second live stream? Because I went beyond that. Okay, you saw Kiama, you saw the beach. A staircase, okay, that gives me a clue. Let me find the Butler's Stairs. I didn't show you Maitland, did I? No, that's coming up. So I've gone too far. I don't think I showed... Did I show you Bondi? What's this? That's Bondi. Oh, stairs, here we go. So it was just after Kiama, and we finished at the stairs. Okay. All right. Found where we are. Perfect. Screen capture. All right. I will try to pay attention to whether my camera dies or not. It almost certainly will, and I will swap out the battery when that happens, but will I notice it in time? We'll see. Anyway, so how did I show you all of the staircase, or was that what I was meant to show you? I don't know. I'm going to assume I haven't showed you. So this isn't Button Stairs, this is some other stairs, which should figure out the name, shouldn't I? Unless anyone can get to it before me. It's in Elizabeth Bay. It's near the Navy base. And I'm doing this on my phone so that I don't dox myself again. Like, what was it, 2 streams ago? In case anyone was wondering, the first live stream has been put back up after I blurred out my address. Come on, where is it? Oh, here we go. The McElhone Stairs, I think that's how you say it. McElhone. Whoops, I should probably write that down. Stairs, there we go. If you can make that out, that's how it's spelt. It's quite warm in here. I'm just going to open the window. Oi. Not too much. I don't want to attract the insects in too much, but there's not too many out on the window anyway. Whoa. Oh. Okay. So yeah, overgrown staircase. Well, the sides are a bit overgrown, but the rest is all right. The top of the stairs. Through this one you haven't seen. What train is that? I mean, obviously it's the CM class, but what is it hauling? What's it doing? I don't know. That photo is terrible. That one's no better. Oh, it's a little bit better, but I was just taking burst photos. That one, I'll leave it for now. Good question. I didn't document what that train was or what it was carrying. It's a Pacific National train, obviously, with an 81 class on the front, leading an 82 behind, 8228 to be specific, with 8132. You probably saw that. Is that coal? I'm not up to scratch with my wagons, but I'm betting that's coal. And, oh, it was probably a grain by the looks of it. If I was, yeah, okay, it's on the triangle. So that one I did document. It was 9531. It was an Inner Harbour Tamori grain. That's an app which various rail fans can use. Not officially, but let's just say the password's pretty easy. And as long as everyone respects it and doesn't go ringing up the loco crew, because it does give you that information sometimes. But please don't. I like my tracking and I want to keep it that way. So I'm sick of tracking stuff being taken away because people misuse it. Okay, I was just So that's a dead-end siding near Albion Park. So I should probably write that down. Albion Park. Oh, oceanic views. Burst photography is sometimes when things come up and you just have to spray and pray, as the saying goes. I assume that's it's near the beach, and I'm heading towards Kiama. Where is that? Bombo. Thank you, Albert. Bombo. Hello, Vernabricks. Do I want to keep both? No. That's Kiama. It's not a... I would give that a 2. Decide later if I want to keep it or not. So yeah, obviously it's a pretty quick changeover at Kiama. They've set up the timetable well so that there's, I don't know, a 2 or 3 minute connection between the terminus of electric trains at Kiama and the connecting shuttle to Bondi. Very much reminiscent of the Stony Point line in Victoria. Slightly different, but you got beaches at Frankston and connecting diesel rail motor. Not quite as far out though. Well, Gerringong, or however you say it. Bondi. We'll label it, even though it's fairly recognisable. Oh, and there's the station sign there, so no getting lost as to where we are there. And yeah, what are they? Endeavours. That's an Endeavour rail car, and it heads back towards Kiama fairly promptly. And of course, I've got the lovely working semaphore signal in the shot. So there's Bondi station. Nice station. Always nice to have plants around. It's a good shed, obviously. You've got a random hopper over in the yard. I think that's owned by Minildra. Yes, the waiting room. Outside. Here we go. That's the Minildra flour mill. And that's as much of the tracks as I could photograph. But the siding goes around the corner for quite a distance. Probably, I'm guessing, 2 or 3 Ks. And that track leads back towards just the up end of Bondi Yard. A couple of track machines stored in, I assume that's just a refuge siding. It looks like it. It looks pretty temporary. Looks like they've just thrown it in. That's interesting. But you've got, you know, a whole bunch of sleepers, obviously undergoing a sleeper replacement program, and some random bits of track. Stephen says he didn't actually realise that the mill was over that way. There you go. So that was another, I think that's a little bit deeper into the siding, or is that the end of the Bombadera yard? I got a feeling, oh no, it's the yard, because that's the turntable, I'm pretty sure. It looks like it. That's the Bombadera turntable. And then there's the Minildra. So there's 2 Minildra wagons. Oh, 3 of them. There you go. Minildra group. There you go, another shot of the semaphore, except with the set to a danger aspect. Oh, it's disappointing that photo didn't really turn out, because it's a bit blurry, but otherwise would have been a good photo. The lever frame on the platform obviously controls the semaphore signals, I should say. There's multiple. You can read down home, down second home, up starting, key for C and D. What's C and D? I don't know. Someone tell me. And then up home. And we've got a spare slot there and a spare slot there. Oh, we got 2. Okay. So it's just a 5 lever frame with an extra 3 spare slots. And the panel all lit up. Oops, I'll stop back on that so you can get a better view. You can see down here, so that's towards Sydney. There's the turntable that we photographed before. The flower wagons would have been stored probably at the end of number 1 or number 2 good siding. And you've got the Minildra branch here, or sidings. And it's saying that, yeah, level crossing there, make sure that the lights are flashing. Here's a good little question for the audience, and I'll answer it in 5 minutes or so. What is the difference between a long siding and a short branch line? How do you tell them apart from a technical perspective? What's a long siding versus a short branch line? Just have a think about that. Oh yeah, so there's the flower wagons, flower hoppers, whatever. By all means, take a stab in the dark with the quiz question if you think you might know something or whatever. And then the turntable over there. Oh, so I'm getting a little bit sleepy, but we've got an Endeavour coming in. Didn't get the best photos of it coming in. And one of the station staff. Again, not the best photos, but had to get on the train, pulling the levers across. So there's Berry Station, I believe, given that that's what the sign says. Matt has said a guess that branches merge off a main line. Yes, but you want to, like, so does the siding. The siding can also branch off a main line. So what's the difference between a long siding and a short branch line? Wollongong, by the looks of it. Yes, so I was changing it Wollongong. Wow, that's such a brilliant photo. Should really check my photos before snapping away. Train terminates. It's just a H set. Everyone's seen H sets by now. Oh, but I think what I was showing was that it split. So it was an 8-car H set, which split into a 4-car, which went into the sidings, and the other 4-car disappeared as well. And here comes my Port Kembla local on H48. Some steel wagons, steel coil. So, let me see. Neither of those photos are too good, but that one's shocking. These are basically just standard flat wagons with these coil holders that are just bolted on. But otherwise it's a fairly standard flat wagon. You can see all those coils of steel. For any Victorians who are watching this and didn't know, the Long Island steel train gets its steel from Port Kembla, and it comes down on, formerly it was WM2, but now it's WM7, I think. That's the train. Since it switched from Pacific National to Cube. I just noticed my camera's on a bit of an angle, but I think it's been like that the whole time, so we're going to roll with it. No pun intended with these steel coils. And some butterbox wagons as well. They're called butterbox because that's just sort of the shape of them, but they don't hold butter, they hold steel. And again, not the best photo, but yeah, shocking photo in fact, but you get what you get. With a couple of Cube locomotives on the front of a steel train ready to depart for Melbourne. Double QL class by the looks of it. Oh, some different steel wagons, but PB class. Don't see them in Victoria. Shunting around Port Kembla. Photos were terrible. I need to go back, don't I? Just photographing random stuff around Port Kembla, I think. Some different wagons again for steel coils. Hey, and the ugly ducklings. What do you even call them? The 14 class? These are ex-Danish locos, I believe. that were imported into Australia. When they got to kind of funny, I believe they no longer met the Euro whatever emission standard, so they could no longer operate in Europe. So Australia put up their hands and said, yes, please, we'll take your polluting locomotives. That's not bad photo. It's pretty good actually, considering. 81.19, and I assume that's 81.24 behind it. I'm just photographing random stuff. 80.05, 81.78, random stuff around Port Kembla. Here we are at Port Kembla itself, and let me just check the comments. Stephen, in response to the quiz question, says branch lines have no shunting limits unless it's a yard. Yeah, maybe, but I guess so would sidings. So you still haven't really explained how you could tell the difference between a long siding and a short branch line. There is a specific answer that I'm looking for. Albert says in New South Wales there would be no end of yard limits sign anywhere along the siding. Okay, yeah, I guess that's a somewhat valid answer. I was probably looking for a more generalised answer that wasn't specific to New South Wales or any other rail system. And Vandenbricks is making a joke about being an Oscar train. To explain that to people who don't know him, his name in real life is Oscar, so that's the joke. MZ. You just call it an MZ, okay. Interesting. Because MZ is the Danish railways. Oh, well, hang on. No, they were called the MZ. They were called the MZ class in the Danish railways, but has that carried over to Australia? Vandenbroek says they're cool locos because they're so different to everything else around them. Yeah. Hello, Trains of Melbourne. Oh, and I missed a few answers for the quiz. Stephen says that a siding does not use a staff and ticket system, unlike a branch line. And yes, that is along the lines of what I was looking for. And Rod has generalised it even further by saying that a branch line has safe working, and a siding does not. So, yeah. If it doesn't have safe working, then it's a long siding. If it's got safe working, then it's a branch line. So, I assume everyone who is in the chat knows what safe working is, but if anyone doesn't, yell out. I'll keep going in the meantime. Port Kembla, and safe working is not just working in a safe manner. yeah, just various stuff. I didn't leave the station actually at Port Kembla. I just got in, took my photos, went back. And hey, my local service turned into a 3 service to Bondi Junction, so yippee! What's the time? 10:04. Okay. We're making decent time. Oh, what's this? Oh yeah, via Wollongong. Just a 4-car Oscar, H48, next to another Oscar. Here's another little quiz for you all. What does Oscar stand for? I think that will be easier to answer for most people than my sightings quiz, but anyway. So out I go. Port Kembla North with a incandescent guards indicator light. How about that? Some, looks like a B-double truck going through a level crossing, obviously somewhere near Port Kembla North. Another PB shunting, possibly PB4. Yeah, PB4. I should have increased my shutter speed to prevent this motion blur, but you live and learn. PB6. Mountains. Hey, bulleye. Thirroul with an horizon. That looks like a coal train. And in fact it was like, okay, it was MC52 by the looks of it. Thirroul and, yeah, here we are back at, is this Bondi Junction? They all look the same. Let me just check. Yeah, it's Bondi Junction. I thought so, but yeah, it was. I photographed this because the destination board was saying Dapto via Walleye Creek, but as you can see, the what do you call it? PID, passenger information display. Was displaying it was a Kiama service. So, interesting. I don't know where it actually ended up. AnyTrip was saying that it was a Kiama train as well, so make of that what you wish. Tangara, Bondi Junction. Oh, and that's under the Bondi Junction line, but somewhere I can't remember. And Albert, the first to answer correctly and the first to answer at all, says Oscar stands for Outer Suburban Carriage. The CAR is part of carriage in Oscar. And Oscar himself is saying that he'll probably head off soon, early start tomorrow, and I'm already pretty tired. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Matt says the New South Wales Railways reminds me of the best video, steam train passes with 3801. Check out the National Film and Sound Archive. I may have seen that already, but the whole National Film and Sound Archive is a great YouTube channel, an FSA. I'll look up where that is another time, but it's not, it's an overpass obviously. And I know I recognise it's on the Bondi Junction line, and we're near some toilets. Is that toilets? No. I just remember I was trying to find a toilet. Anyway, we're back at Central. Yeah, Central, and then we're out to, what's this station called again? Wonderbine. The name left me. I had to stop at Wonderbine because why not? Although when I got there it started raining and I didn't have a raincoat, so I went, and I also need to go to the toilet and there's no real toilets around here. Okay, let's just get on the next train. And I know it doesn't look like it's raining because there's blue skies, but trust me, it started raining. But the weather held out enough for me to get some shots. Where is that? That's not Wonderbine. I think it's one station further down the line, or further towards Newcastle. What is that station? Come on, let's get this phone working so I can figure stuff out. Someone's going to answer. It's Woi Woi. Stephen says, could always piss into the big blue behind you. Without revealing too much information, let's just say if I could have, I would have. And Roderick Smith says Wonderbine was a cult station on the now antique rail page Australia. Yeah. I mean, it's still a bit of a cult station. It always will be. But here we are at Newcastle, and you can tell finally that it rained. But yeah, I didn't take any photos of the actual rain. We're at Newcastle Interchange, photographing the Urbos trams, and hey, would you look at that? There's no overhead, but there's a pantograph and it's connected to a solid bar. Yeah. Let's get further down the line and I will explain how the tram runs on supercapacitors and what's the difference between a supercapacitor and a battery. Does anyone want to have a go at that before I explain it? What's the difference between a supercapacitor and a battery? We're at Newcastle Interchange and we're photographing a Central train and a, what do you call those type of trains? A Hunter, I think. Hunter railcar, that's right. Where's it bound to? Probably Dungong, something like that. And we've got another Endeavour. Hey, we're at Maitland. Did I not photograph much of the tram? I swear I did. Oh, I think I videoed it, but I may not have photographed it a lot. Yeah, that's right. So the Hunter railcars are used on the Dungong and Scone lines. And Matt also says that the Newcastle light rail is tiny. Do you mean it's not very long? Stephen says, Floyd, we now have a Colt railway station here in Victoria. We now have to have a Colt. Yeah, I mean, General Motors is the classic equivalent in terms of Wonderbine because they both had no road access, although having said that, I have driven my car to General Motors when it was easy to do so. It wasn't officially a road, but service road, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, here we are at Maitland. Well, since we didn't photograph much of the Newcastle trams, we just videoed it. Let's look. Albert says a supercapacitor doesn't use chemicals to store electric charge. It just uses a series of plugs. I assume you mean plates separated by a dielectric. Yeah, you've pretty much nailed it on the head. Assuming you meant plates, not plugs. Yeah, so a battery uses a chemical reaction that is somewhat reversible. It's not 100% reversible because that would break the laws of thermodynamics, but it's reasonably reversible. For the purposes of our needs, it is. For the purposes of our needs, for the purpose of our usage, it's basically reversible. And so, yeah, by pumping electricity into a battery to charge it, you are helping to reverse this chemical reaction. And then when you want to extract electricity from the battery, then you're running the chemical reaction in the opposite direction and you're extracting energy from it. And so, yeah, that's great. And batteries are good at storing a large amount of energy and releasing it reasonably slowly over time. You can absolutely get high-powered batteries, but just the nature of the chemical reactions and whatnot mean that they're better suited to a long charge time and a long discharge time, whereas supercapacitors are better suited to a short charge and short discharge time. And the reason why you call them supercapacitors rather than just capacitors is because capacitors is an electrical component which works in very much the same way, but is used for not so much for storing large amounts of energy, but is used a lot in electronics, primarily for smoothing out a signal. So if you've got an electrical signal which is not very smooth, and you want to say, let's just say you want to convert AC power into DC power. Well, first you might run it through a rectifier to make sure that the current is all running in the one direction. So it's now direct current, but it's not very smooth direct current. It's fairly lumpy. Damn it. microphone back, but we haven't got the camera back. Hey, there we go. Stephen says, knew something would go wrong, was expecting his camera to kick the bucket again. I just checked the camera. I thought, oh, perfect opportunity while we're breaking that I will change the camera battery over, but apparently it's on 70%, so I'll keep going. Yeah, now let's talk about the non-battery warning. Roderick says, what is the definition of an exhausted wife? She is too tired to stay awake for a second. Right. And okay, so yeah, where was I? Explaining supercapacitors. So battery is best suited for lots of energy, for charging it up slowly, releasing it slowly, relatively speaking. Supercapacitors, great for charging up quickly and discharging quickly. Smaller capacitors, you measure the size of a capacitor in capacitance. Get that one into your mind. But yes, you typically use it. Capacitors are most often used to smooth out an electrical signal. So if you had rough DC and you wanted to convert it to smooth DC, then you'd run that through a series of capacitors, and it would smooth out your signal. So yeah, it's cool. So the way that they store energy is you've got two plates, essentially, separated by what you call a dielectric, which is just sort of an electrical insulator, basically. And you essentially have a build-up of electrons on the one plate and a deficit of electrons on the other plate. So you've got an electrical charge across the gap, and it's separated by the insulator, so the charge can't flow unless you connect the two plates otherwise. But yeah, that's just how it stores. It stores it by a build-up of electrons. And fun little side note about electricity, you always say in electricity that current flows from the positive to the negative. Well, what is electricity? Well, it's the flow of electrons in essence, and are electrons positive or negative? They're negative. So what direction do the electrons flow? They flow from negative to positive. So the flow of electrons is actually the opposite to what we call the flow of current, which, yeah, history, and it just makes the maths easier, basically, to just assume that it flows from positive to negative, even though we know it doesn't, but it's good enough. Yeah, so supercapacitors are just very large capacitance capacitors. while a relatively small capacitor in your computer or your phone, pretty much every electronic device you own would have capacitors. Anything which uses an electrical signal in any way, shape or form, almost guarantee it's got a capacitor. And they're fairly small. What is the units of capacitance? I forget. Somebody tell me what's the units of capacitance. I know the symbol for it, but I forget the name. Anyway, so the way that the Newcastle tram works is that at each of the stops, I should share my screen again, shouldn't I? At each of the stops there's this charging station. The pantograph goes up, charges while passengers get on and off, and then they drop the pantograph, move off, and it's charged quickly enough so that it's got enough energy to get it to the next stop where it can recharge again. And then by the end of the line, you might have depleted the capacitors a little bit, so it stays there for a bit longer at the terminus and can charge up even more and go again, so you be. Farads. Yep, that's the units of capacitance is a farad. Matt says, kind of feel like you're in chemistry class, more like physics. I haven't gone through the redox equations. Could I even, if I wanted to? Not without some prior research to touch up on my knowledge. I did balanced redox equations, which is essentially the chemical reaction that batteries are doing, back in high school, but that was 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago now, so I'm a bit rusty and I haven't done chemistry in uni. I've done a little bit of electrical stuff in uni, but not a lot. Most of my electrical knowledge is just self-taught. And Albert says, I wonder how many farads those supercapacitors are. I wonder as well. And Stephen makes a chemistry joke saying, when in chemistry, start with the basics, not the acidics. Indeed. Matt says, was this a cheaper decision, the pantograph situation? Was it cheaper than overhead? Probably not. Was it cheaper than third rail? Probably so. But yeah, why? I mean, it's not a cheap system. They obviously didn't. They wanted to eliminate overhead wires because they viewed them as ugly. But yeah, why not third? What's the cost difference between third rail versus third rail in an Alstom APS style? Well, I mean, first off, the APS Alstom is proprietary, and these are CAF trams, not Alstom, but why they went with this system and not another system, I don't know. Maybe read through the tender process and that might shed some insights. That's just the inside of a CAF Airbus 100. I think that's the model of trams. And yeah, I've gone through this and Maitland. View this while I look at the comments. Matt says that's in a Unit 2. What do you mean a Unit 2? I assume you're referring to the tram, but yeah, Rod's correct in that it's politically correct to not have overhead wires. Overhead wires is simpler, cheaper, but less politically attractive for certain. Ooh, and what's that? Is that a Endeavour? No, it's an XPT. Wow, how about that? Maitland is the home of coal. You couldn't spend 10 minutes at Maitland without seeing a coal train go through. I'm exaggerating slightly, but coal train every 10 to 15 minutes. That's not exaggerating. Oh, what have we got? We got a 90 class leading something else, or is there something else leading the 90? I think the something else is leading the 90 on a Pacific National coal train. Stephen didn't realise overhead wires were political. Now you know. I'm sure there will be a push soon enough, if there hasn't already been, to get rid of overhead wires in Melbourne. Good luck with that. There's too many kilometres worth of track. Ooh, we've got 3 trains at Maitland. We've got a Hunter, I think that's an Endeavour, and an Horizon coal train. Wait, don't knock the microphone over. Maitland is home to Steamfest, says Matt. Indeed it is. And yeah, we've got an Endeavour and a Hunter. How are we going for time? 10:37. Let's get through these Maitland photos and see where we're at. Because there's quite a few Maitland photos. But a lot of them are burst. Ooh, and here's an interesting thing. So this train here was in for a crew change. It's obviously a one rail, formerly Genesee and Wyoming, Australia. It was owned by an American company, but now it's changed and it's owned by one of the big conglomerate asset management firms or whatever. I don't know how much of it is Australian owned anymore, if any of it was ever Australian owned. But hey, look at that, I'm inside the cab. I met the crew on the footbridge, and they're like, oh, you know, you're taking photos, yeah. Hey, we're doing a crew change, do you want to come have a look inside the cab? Yes, please. I can't remember the guy's name, but very nice guy. And he said, take as many photos as you like, post them wherever you like. So, yeah, GWU 10. When was this loco built? I think about 2012, 2013, something like that. And they've just recently had a newer order of these, but yeah, interior of a modern locomotive cab, fairly bare. I mean, you've just got a few screens, got the ICE radio there and there, obviously. Got a microwave and a fridge. Do they have an AM/FM radio? I'm not seeing one immediately, but... Or is that it? That looks like an FM radio, doesn't it? AM/FM, so... Or, I don't actually know. It's hard to tell. Hey. Oh, no, that's alright. So yeah, sit down in the driver's seat, do whatever. And I said, could you please take a few photos of me in this driver's seat? He said, by all means. So, there's me. How about that? Okay, we've got to the end of Maitland, but I will go... We're back here at Newcastle Interchange. V-set, H-set, previously Hunter back there. You can get a bit of variety at Newcastle Interchange. I'll just keep going. Oh, yeah, so we're back in Newcastle. I've got a Gosford local by the looks of it. There's the tram again. I was taking photos of the tram and the station and whatnot when a bunch of drunk guys wanted their photo taken, so I did. And then they roped in this girl who was just nearby. I don't think she had any real connection to these guys whatsoever, but they roped her into it, so whatever. Central service, bit of rain. V-sets are always dirty. Like, look at that. It's dirty. Come on, needs a clean. V23. I tried to document what sets I saw when I could, but didn't document them all. Okay, and we're at Olympic Park. Let's see, how much have I got to go? And how much of it is just burst stuff? It's a fair amount of burst. I got a few photos of Parramatta. A few bits of the Parramatta light rail construction. Manly Ferry, St James. There's enough. There's enough to do either. We've got some Sydney tram photos. Yeah, alright, I'm calling it. We will break. And that's a good spot to break. And that we've just finished Newcastle and we are about to go to Olympic Park. So yeah, that will be for 2 weeks' time, and we'll finish it off, hopefully. Finish off the Sydney trip. I mean, there was literally 3,000 photos and yeah, a lot to go through. I don't really want to do a part 5, but part 4 we can do. I think we can definitely achieve it in part 4. Before I go, I'll just note that it looks like I've just got 60 photos away from having over 100,000 photos in my catalogue over the years, and I don't think I've imported the latest photos from my camera, so I have crossed over that threshold now. Yeah. That's interesting. How much space does it take up in terms of terabytes? I think my photo library, the photos, there's some videos mixed in with that as well, that 100,000. I think, well, photos and videos combined take up a little over 5 terabytes of hard drive space for me. So it's a fair bit. How much do photos take up rather than video? It's hard for me to separate them, but say 60-40 ratio of photos to videos in terms of space. In terms of sheer numbers, it's probably more like 90-10. But yeah. Let's go to main camera. Answer a few questions before we finish things up. Stephen says, getting rid of Melbourne's overheads for trams is like getting us to switch from 1500 volts DC overhead for the trains to 25 kilovolts AC. Not going to happen. Yeah, I would say it's even bigger, even larger of a challenge. Actually, it's kind of hard to compare, but yeah, they're both never going to happen. Albert says, yep, both way too expensive and too disruptive to change for very little benefit. I mean, there is benefit for both, especially 25 kilovolts, but yeah, I still don't think it will happen. Rod says there are flood photos of Maitland with the water well up to the signal box. Well up the signal box and lapping the overhead bridge. Yeah. Stephen says, just like the driverless trains in the Pilbara made little to no changes in profit. Don't know about that. I think that's been a pretty successful endeavour for Rio Tinto. Awesome logo cab shots, yeah. Robert Smith says there was a young man from Newcastle who received an anonymous parcel. And Albert's reminding Rod to keep it G-rated. And Matt says, my tram video was very good. Yes, thank you. My Sydney Tram Museum video. Hope you enjoyed that. And you'll see some photos from the Sydney Tram Museum, stuff that didn't necessarily appear in the video as well. I'm tired. Hope you enjoyed. Stephen says, can't wait for part 17 of Floyd's Sydney trip. Hey, I think the
most parts I've done with a live stream was 5 or 6. So we're not close to breaking a record yet, but just you wait, I'll get to part 17. In the year of 2040, we'll be seeing part 1045 of Floyd's 2022 city trip. Yeah, hope not. Maybe if I did 1 photo per day, 1 photo per live stream even. Stephen says, same day Floyd was at Loftus, I was at Ballarat Tram Museum for the Geelong number 2 tram launch. Yeah, and then we both went, was it 2 weeks later? Was it 3? Sometime later to ride it a second time. Well, second time for you, first time for me. Yes, Roderick Smith. Remember, the Newcastle joke is based on the Newcastle pronunciation, not Victorian. Yeah. Okay then. Unless anyone's got any more questions or comments, I will finish up. Albert's just sent a message then immediately deleted it. So unless he chooses to put his message up in the next minute. What else? If anyone's coming to the Newport workshops open day weekend, Labour Day weekend, which is not this coming weekend but next, I think. I should be there on Saturday at least, probably the Sunday as well. Or probably not the Monday. But we'll see. Alright, see you on the 18th of March for the next part. Yes, that sounds right. 2 weeks from now. So yeah, in between time there's the Labour Day weekend. So if anyone's in Melbourne and wants to come to that, either book tickets online or at the gate. I don't know what it will be like this year, but I think last year and the year before, the lines at the gate were pretty big, so skip the queue. Apart from that, you can ride a historic bus, a vintage bus from Newport Station to the Newport workshops. There'll be 10 steam locos in steam, plus a couple more on static display. There will be the Tate set on display, and then apart from that, all the usual stuff. Matt says camp outside to be the first in line. Well, you could, but don't see why you would. And yeah, I'll probably stay over at Newport Friday, Saturday night. That's what I did last time I volunteered, which was 4 years ago now. Time flies. Yep, okay, that's it. Thanks everyone. Puffin Billy Climax will be there, yes. Yeah, 29 steam locos across 2 sites. That's including the Newport workshops, the Newport Railway Museum that's in North Williamstown. soon to be gone Surrey Hills Station. Okay. Yeah, if you become a volunteer, you can sleep in the carriages. They will have a carriage set up for volunteers to stay overnight in. Last time I slept over, it was Culliban. What will it be this year? I don't know. Maybe Stephen knows. Goodbye. I'm back. There's so many comments. I just wanted to specifically mention, Albert says on the 19th of March, steam locomotive 3801 will go through the Sydney Underground Railway and onto the Harbour Bridge. That's exciting. I've run out of money, so I will not be seeing it in person. But I hope everyone gets good documentation of it. Alright, that's it. See you later.